Well, hi everyone, and welcome to Rob Evans 365. It's day number 399, and right now I'm in the car talking to you as I drive to have my MRI on my shoulder. And this is going to be in two parts. I'm going to put you on pause while I'm actually having the MRI, and for obvious reasons, and as well as the appointment that I have straight after to talk to my surgeon to find out exactly what's going on inside the shoulder. So I haven't reported on it to you for a while, but I've been strengthening around the shoulder. Let me backtrack a little bit. So after my surgery, I was doing all the rehab and everything was tracking really, really well. I was feeling really strong a lot earlier than I was with my right shoulder that I had done about 2 years ago now. So I think I had it done in June or July, so about 2 years ago. And it tracking really, really well. And I got back into the gym quicker, not because, I'm just going to get back into the gym quicker, but because I was feeling so good. And I didn't do anything crazy with the weights, just slowly increased the weights to the point where I was feeling so good that I thought I wanted to create a challenge for myself, which was creating my Road to 600 project. You can jump on Instagram or Facebook page to have a look at those and where I am with that. I pushed my bench press. I wanted to get to 40 kilos by the end of April, and I managed to do that, and pretty much pain-free. So I knew that I was feeling good, and then I just gradually increased a few kilos a week. It's all on record. You can see it, and I've reported each week as to how I've gone. I went up to 60 kilos, but it wasn't like I was doing heaps and heaps of reps on 60 kilos. I might be doing one or two reps at the 60 kilos one time a week. And the surgeon doesn't believe that that's necessarily the reason that the shoulder went backwards, but I started to get some sharp pain in the time after the bench press. Actually, it wasn't a gradual increment in pain. It was more a case of, I did this 60k bench press, and I wasn't really sore the next day. But then, I would have to look back through my notes, but the exact timing, let's say a week, I was actually doing a leg workout, and I woke up the next morning from that leg workout, and I was like, oh wow, I'm getting this really sharp pain through my shoulder, and that just continued for a few weeks. And with my physio exercise, it was getting worse, and it was starting to feel like the pain that I was getting when I just came out of the surgery. So when you come out of the surgery, you're in a sling, and anything like lifting so imagine you're holding your arm as you would hold a sling, so your elbow is like a chicken wing tucked right into you all the time. And when you lift that elbow out from your body, that sharp pain would really come. And that's what I was getting again. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. Have I done some damage from the bench press and stuff? But because the pain didn't come directly after I was doing the bench press or in the next couple of days, I didn't think it was that. And the surgeon doesn't necessarily think it's that either. He said, look, sometimes these things just show up. So I persisted with different rehab exercise, but was finding that it was flaring things up, so we had to change things, back things off, eliminate things, and that then meant that I had to stop working my upper body to give it a rest, because it was so sore that I was taking anti-inflammatories and rubbing stuff into it. And then went to the surgeon, back to the surgeon, and I spoke to him on the phone first, and then he said, look, it sounds like it's your AC joint. Went in, he pressed and prodded, and he said, yeah, look, it's your AC joint. He said, I think it's just very inflamed in there right now, and he's going to give me a cortisone injection to settle it down. Gave me the cortisone injection, and normally I don't know, it's a couple of weeks. Had to wait a couple of weeks before he was going to call me back. I guess that's when it takes full effect. Now, in the days after the cortisone injection, it actually got worse. And I thought, well, maybe it gets a little bit worse before it gets better. But I was also conscious of the fact that I had stopped for a couple of weeks now working my upper body. Now, what I had learned from my right shoulder was that as soon as I backed off everything from my upper body and then stopped working chest, shoulder, and upper back, rear shoulder, rear delts, then I found that the pain started to increase because I was no longer working those muscles that help support the shoulder girdle and the shoulder joint. And with my right, when I started to get back into those exercises, I went from being in pain to being in no pain in as quick as one workout. It was as simple as that. I was just starting to work those muscles again and starting to feel really good, and the pain disappeared. So after the 2-week phone call, doctor said, surgeon, he said, look, doesn't sound right. He said, we need to get you to go in and have an MRI, which is what I'm doing today. And we booked it for 2 weeks because he was unavailable for 2 weeks, so maybe he was going away or something. And it was actually it's been 3 weeks since I had that conversation with him, maybe a little bit more. And that's where I'm heading today to find out what's going on. So where it's at right now is I got back into the gym and started working the chest again very, very lightly on the left side. Normal on the right, so I'm doing unilateral exercises, so that means one side of the body then the other. So using normally exercise, like pieces of equipment that you can sit in and use one lever at a time. And that's been going quite well. And doing the same with the back, and the last back exercise that I did, same concept, unilateral, I wasn't in any pain the next day. And that made me feel really good because I know that I'm strengthening around it, which is making me feel good. But in terms of the actual shoulder, to give you some idea, lifting above my head, lifting out in front of me with my left arm is quite painful. Doing anything like that to the side, so laterally we call that, out to the side, doesn't hurt. And I'm back to doing 2 kilo exercises, like dumbbell exercises out to the side on the left. And I'm in no pain with those. But out to the front, even just with my arm going up, no weight, can hurt. Above my head can hurt. Lifting my elbow out to the side, so right now if I do that as I'm driving, that doesn't hurt. If I reach down, I'm going to grab a drink of water, that's not too bad either. But depending on the position, so now I've just got to put my hand back on the steering wheel and I feel that a mild sharp pain through that AC joint, which is right at if you touch the front of your shoulder blade, not your shoulder blade, your shoulder, it's kind of, say in the middle, let's just say in that middle region to one side where I get that sharp pain. So he was just recapping from the surgeon I'm talking about, saying that, look, the tendons were all okay, but that's why he thought it was the inflamed AC joint. What we do know is that the bursa was very, very inflamed, way more inflamed, and had a lot more scar tissue on it compared to my right one when he actually got in there with his camera and started cleaning it up and so forth. And it takes 12 months for the bursa to, really repair itself fully, he says. So I'm sure there's an element of that, but to me it sounds like there's something else that's just not quite right. So what I'm hopeful for today with the MRI scan is that the MRI actually shows what is the cause, because the worst thing that can happen is you have the scan and it shows nothing. It gives him no more information. But I'm hoping that that's not actually the case, because we are still limited with the technology that we have. The MRI is not the answer to everything. It doesn't scan everything. It's looking through layers to, take snapshots to interpret what, so it can take images so that the surgeon can interpret what all of it means. But it can't see everything. And if you go back and you listen to other podcasts that I've done, or they would be 6 months or so ago now, where I talk about MRIs and the other technology that we have, X-rays. I mean, the main things that we have access to: X-rays, MRIs, ultrasound. So it probably goes in the order of ultrasound, X-ray, MRI, and then beyond that, it's surgery. Now, when the surgeon went in with his camera, he saw things in me that you can't pick up from an X-ray, you can't pick it up from the MRI, and you can't pick it up from an ultrasound. I already said that. From the MRI, X-ray, or ultrasound, you just can't pick them up. But when you go in and look at things, so you're looking at pictures, you're looking through a camera at tendons and muscles and damaged tissue and so forth. It's when you actually do that, that's when you can see, okay, well, the MRI didn't show that. And I used the example of the ultrasound. The very first ultrasound that I had showed that I had tendinosis, the thinning of the tendon. But when he actually went in and had a look at the tendons with the camera, he could see that my tendon is completely healthy. And I've got images of it. I must put together some photos of it all. And you can see that it's a nice, bright, clean, white, creamy sort of colour that is the sign of a healthy tendon. He said there's no problem with that. That's all completely healthy. Where the problem was, you look at the bursa and it's like, what am I looking at there? He said, yeah, that's the problem. It's underneath all that. And I can compare it to the right and see, wow, I can see what that one did look like before the surgery and then after he's cleaned it up. And I can see what the left one looks like before the surgery, and man, it's a mess. Imagine almost like the thickest kind of moist cobwebs that you can imagine, just layer over layer over layer, and that's what it looked like. And you can't see the clear tissue because of all that, irritation that's there. So I'm just hoping that the MRI will show him what he needs to see. Now, he thinks it's a problem with the AC joint, so bone. So hopefully we see what it is. But time will tell. In about an hour, I will probably have the answers, and I will report back to you. So I don't make this podcast too long, I'm going to put this on pause now. I will go off and have my scan. I've still got a little bit of a way to travel yet, and then I'll report back and let you know how things are. But, well, let me give you this first. I'm feeling optimistic. I mean, no matter what he says today, I mean, I know that I'm going to get back. Why do I know that? Because I have a self-belief in I'll do whatever it takes to get back and better than where I was. Because remember, before surgery, I was in pain doing certain lifts, and I have the same issue that I had on my right. I don't now because I've had those bits of bone and everything removed, shaved off. But I have a self-belief in knowing that, yes, right now I am in more pain than I was before the surgery. And you could look at that and say, well, why did you even bother having it done? You know, it's cost you all this money, time, emotional effort, all that kind of stuff. Why would you bother? Because I never want to have to settle. And I was determined to get my body right. So it doesn't matter what really happens today. I know that I'm going to get it right. It's just a question of, okay, so what's the path here? What's the next step forward? And I think that's the thing you have to remember with life. There'll be a lot of roadblocks, obstacles that come your way. And you have to say, do you know what? Whatever comes my way, I'm going to deal with it. And because my health and fitness is my number one passion and focus in life, because without life I'm dead, without my health I'm dead, then I'm going to keep doing whatever is required so that I can live life on my terms. So I will report back to you in about an hour or so. All right, talk soon. Well, hi everyone. It's time for part 2. I am back on the way back home. Had to wait for a fair while for the MRI. They were running a little bit behind schedule. But had the MRI, 20 minutes sitting in that thing, straight across the road to see the surgeon. He bangs the scans up on the screen for me to have a look at. And what I'm becoming better at learning about how to read the MRIs. And whereas before I thought white was good because it was bones and stuff. I mean, bones and tendons and stuff tend to show up as black. And we're looking at all the tendons. All the tendons look good and strong and clearly attaching to bone and so forth. So good. But there was a lot of white stuff, which is fluid, inflammation. And that was not the good thing. So we looked at the horizontal views of it. So imagine you're cutting your bone down in horizontal slices and then doing it vertically as well. And you could see that at the end of my shoulder bone that there's a lot of inflammation. He said, there's fluid in the bone there. And I'm like, what? Fluid in the bone? What's that? How does that happen? So I said, that wasn't there before, was it? He said, no, I don't think it was. And so obviously it's happened post-surgery, and then there is a lot of inflammation around it. And he said, down into your bicep tendon, he said, there's a lot of fluid there. And he said, so I pointed and touched, and I said, so do you mean right here? And he said, yeah. And he said, is that really painful? I said, no, that's fine. He said, well, it might be just, coming down from the shoulder. So I asked him if we could pull up the previous versions on his computer, and he did that, and you can see that the inflammation of the fluid now is way, way worse than it was before. So you can see that he's cleaned out the bits of bone, shaved off the bits of bone that were there before, but obviously something has happened in the process. He says, look, I don't know that it was the weights that I was lifting that's done it, but he said obviously something has made it very angry. And I mean, because I've stopped doing any of that, flat bench press for the last 6 weeks, I feel like it's not that, because I'm not pushing into that pain now. I only go up to where I only do it while there's no pain. If I feel pain, I either back it off or stop with the unilateral exercises that I'm doing. So my feeling is it's not that, but maybe I'm still irritating it. But bottom line is, he said to keep doing what you're doing, just be guided by how I feel myself. So, well, that's a pretty good indication to me. And so how do we fix this problem? And there's basically 2 courses, and you can probably work out what they are. And it's always to go the path of least aggressiveness first. And that is going to be initially, in Dr. Evans's words, an aggressive course of steroids. And it's basically going to be 4 days of reducing strength steroids to make them have an impact on the draining the fluid out. So I'm off to get those right now and see what kind of impact they are going to have. And then he's going to call me in 3 weeks' time. It's like working in 3-week blocks to see, I guess the guide will be, has there been any improvement? And I guess he'll be looking for dramatic improvement functionally in the pain that I'm feeling. Now for the bad news. If that doesn't have a dramatic impact, then it's back for surgery. And I wasn't thinking that would have to be the case, to be honest. But, realising that, well, until you get the scans, you don't know what's going on. And that surgery would drain the fluid out. He'd be, cleaning up the end of the bone, seeing what's going on there. And unfortunately, the recovery time is exactly the same as my previous surgery. So probably another 6 months of recovery. And I can tell you one thing's for sure, I won't be doing bench press anytime after that surgery if I have to go that way, because I don't want to have the same thing recur again. But before we have the surgery, if that's the way it's going to be, I'll be having some more detailed discussions with him about, well, how do we know that it's not going to happen again? And he won't be able to answer that. But I guess it's just being very clear around what I should be doing and what I need to be prepared for. What he did say was, I just recorded a short video before this, so I don't know whether I just already mentioned this, sorry, about the end of the bone, saying that that's what osteoarthritis comes up looking like on the scan. But I said, but that didn't show last time, and he said no, he didn't think it did. And we looked at the previous scans, and you could see that it didn't show up that way. So I don't know. Imagine your bone's a stick, and the bone is now sitting, or the stick is now sitting in this little saucer of fluid. So it shows up as being moist, and scanning as being fluidy at the end of the stick. So I guess that's how it may present in my mind on there, like that, and we've got to get rid of the fluid because it's just going. It seems to be, for my mind, getting worse and worse because the pain is certainly not dissipating. So I'm going to go on the course of steroids, and we'll see what impact that has. And off to the chemist to get those now. What I was thinking about, which in the moments after I left, was, okay, my way of thinking is that the fluid is probably a good thing as opposed to a hard substance, like a tumour or something like that. I'm assuming a tumour would not show up on the MRI like this would. And so I'm thinking, okay, is it cancer at the end of the bone, something like that? And he didn't seem to indicate that. Well, he didn't indicate that at all. So that's what I'm thinking, that maybe that's like that. And he did a little test on me, and I just told him the exercise that I'm doing and how I've found the exercise I'm doing around the joint are giving me some more strength, and seems to be more stability in the shoulder. He did a little test, which, imagine this: you hold your arm out straight, and so my left arm, thumb pointing down towards the ground, lock out your elbow, have your arm come, say, to a 30-45 degree angle, horizontal to the ground, like across your body. So put your arm out straight in front of you, thumb pointing down, bring that arm across your body about 30 to 45 degrees, and that to me already hurts, okay? And then he puts a little downward pressure, which hurts some more, and then he asks you to push up, and I'll say, yeah, no, I can hardly push up at all on that side. He said, yeah, that's your AC joint. So that's where all the fluid is, that's where the inflammation is, that's why it hurts like hell when there's any pressure like that. The thing is, like driving here right now, if I have my left hand on my thigh, my lap, zero pain. Most of the day, it's zero pain. It's only the functional things when I'm doing things above the head, out in front, that kind of stuff, where it hurts and hurts a lot. So they're the things that are really flaring. So let's see, hey? Let us see. One step at a time. I feel positive. I feel good about the steroids, that they're going to do something good. I mean, you don't want to have, these drugs into your system, but it's a much less aggressive way than having surgery to go in there and do that. I'd much rather do it this way than that way. So I'm hoping that these aggressive suckers over the next 4 days are going to start to do something immediately, and I will start to feel the benefits straight away. In the meantime, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and just listen to the body. I am going to do a workout later today, and I'm not due to do a chest one just yet, but it'll probably be tomorrow. And we'll see. We will see. The fun and games of your shoulder, and injuries, and just got to push forward. So think positive, go one step at a time, and then you make a decision when you get to the next one. Because I could get all depressed and think about what ifs and say, wow, maybe it's cancer, and maybe that means radiation, maybe I'm going to die early, all that kind of stuff. But he didn't mention the word tumour or cancer or anything like that. We go one step at a time. Okay, one step at a time, baby steps, before we start to make the next decision. So that's me out for today. I will update you daily as to how I'm going with my steroids and rehab. All right, that's me out. See you tomorrow at day 400, day 400, day 400.